By the late winter of 2017, the Russian military operation in Syria entered its fourth stage. At this stage, the Syrian military had to deal with the remaining militant-held pockets within the majority government-held areas, and to keep security and order in the recently liberated areas, especially the city of Deir ez-Zor and in the Euphrates Valley. A military operation against Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, Jaish al-Islam, Ara al-Sham, and Faylaq al-Rahman in the eastern Ghouta region of Damascus, codenamed Operation Damascus Steel, took place in the period from February 18, 2018 to April 14, 2018. The operation involved about 25,000 fighters from the SAA, the Tiger Forces, the Republican Guard, Liwa al-Quds, the NDF, the 4th Armored Division, the 5th Assault Corps, and other pro-government factions. This force, backed by Russian Special Operation Forces troops, faced about 15,000 to 18,000 members of local militant groups. Government troops split the militant-held pockets into two separate parts and then cleared the two newly formed pockets, one after the other. As in many previous cases, local reconciliation agreements played an important part of the success of the operation. The operation was not undermined by the alleged chemical attack in the town of Douma, which took place on April the 7th, nor the missile strike on Syrian government targets by the US, the UK and France, carried out on April the 14th. During the clashes, about 550 militants were killed and about 1,200 members of militant groups surrendered to the SAA. According to pro-militant sources, government forces lost up to 600 fighters. The mainstream media and pro-militant outlets also claimed that thousands of civilians died during the operation, but this number has never been verified. An operation against ISIS in the Yarmouk refugee camp area in southern Damascus was carried out between April the 19th and May 21st. Palestinian pro-government militias like Liwa al-Quds and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, General Command, played a significant role in the operation. The Syrian military forced members of non-ISIS militant groups to accept a reconciliation deal, thus securing the area east of Yarmouk, and carried out a large-scale, multi-pronged advance on ISIS positions. ISIS members in the area were lacking in military equipment, supplies, and anti-armor capabilities. By the end of May, the entire southern Damascus area had been secured. According to Russian, Syrian, and Iranian state-run media, all ISIS members had been eliminated. Nonetheless, sources on the ground have stated that at least some ISIS members and their families, about 1,600 persons, were allowed to withdraw from the area via an opened corridor after they had surrendered all heavy weapons in their possession. Two more victories were achieved by the Syrian-Iranian-Russian alliance in eastern Kalamoun and the area of Rastan. Militants in Rastan accepted a surrender agreement on May the 2nd, surrendering their weapons and leaving the area by May 16th. About 11,000 members of militant groups and their families left Rastan and nearby settlements and relocated to the militant-held parts of Idlib and Aleppo provinces via an open corridor. On April the 17th, militant groups accepted a surrender agreement in eastern Kalamoun. Under the agreement, militants surrendered their weapons and were granted the opportunity to leave the area or to settle their legal status. The Syrian military restored full control over the area on April the 25th. It's important to note that eastern Kalamoun militants surrendered a large number of heavy military equipment, including battle tanks, anti-tank guided missiles, rocket launchers, and other weapons. Using such a large arsenal, they may have been able to resist the SAA advance for a notable amount of time. When weighing their options with full knowledge of the many recent SAA victories over the past year, they chose to surrender. By June 2018, the SAA and its allies had liberated a large part of the country, including the cities of Aleppo and Deir ez-Zor, the entire countryside of Damascus, and had liquidated the many pockets of opposition that had existed in the government-held portion of the country. ISIS' self-proclaimed caliphate in Syria had been taken apart in a series of well-planned and decisively executed military campaigns. On June the 18th, the SAA and its allies launched a military operation to clear southern Syria of both ISIS and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and to re-establish control of the Syrian-Jordanian border. Previously, Damascus, assisted by Russian advisors, made a number of attempts to implement a reconciliation agreement in the area, allowing members of relatively moderate opposition groups to surrender their weapons and settle their legal status. All these attempts were sabotaged by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and its supporters. Thus, a military solution was implemented. Within the next month, the SAA liberated the entire Daraa countryside and set conditions to combat ISIS east of the Golan Heights. From July 21st to July 31st, the SAA also cleared the ISIS-held pocket east of the Golan Heights. However, the security situation in the area still remains complicated, and additional security measures are needed to prevent terrorist attacks there. When the southern Syria issue is finally resolved, the SAA and its allies will turn their gaze upon the province of Idlib. Turkey, which has recently increased both its influence and presence there, has no justification for attempting to preserve Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or any of its many affiliated militant groups in the face of Syrian military intervention. The Erdogan government will have to find a way to either reconcile and divorce itself from the internationally recognized terrorist group, or somehow continue maintaining a relationship with it while honoring the framework of the agreements reached by Syria, Turkey, Russia, and Iran in the Astana format. The answer to this question will become more apparent only when the SAA begins military operations against militants in Idlib sometime in the near future.